Hey everybody, how you doing? I spent some time working on a project here that I thought I should share with everyone. Spent the day in a lecture and workshop with 25-year FBI veteran John D'Souza, and learned some investigative techniques and tactics, some skills from John that I could use to put the targeted individual phenomenon into better words, into more of a formatted, more organized format. And his program, the acronym is CUCK, C-U-C-K. It has nothing to do with what you know that word to be. It's just the acronym that is used, and what he's talking about is the cover story, the usual suspects, knowledge from investigative conclusion, and I missed one. Cover story, usual suspects, collect and connect dispositive clues, knowledge from investigative conclusion. And I added motives for mass targeting program on here. So I put this into the most simple terms. This is for targeted individuals and people that don't understand how something can be done on such a mass scale and what the reasons are for doing something like this, for targeting an individual. So if you've ever heard the term targeted individual and you speak to somebody that knows about the program and they want to keep it under wraps, they have a cover story. They use what's called active denial. They have their story ready and they just say, oh, well, this is because this and this and this. So here's the cover story for targeted individuals. What people are told about targeted individuals. They say that targeted individuals are mentally ill people suffering from delusions and schizophrenia. They want attention, a road to fame, or unjustified compensation for pain and suffering. Whistleblowers are disgruntled intelligence agents, police officers, or other enforcement that were fired or singled out and only want compensation by the department they work for and revenge. Non-enforcement complainants are mentally ill people suffering from paranoia, delusions, and schizophrenia. Usually drug abuse is assumed or insinuated. Veterans that are targeted are suffering from PTSD and have dissociated from reality due to unhealed trauma from war. Targeted individuals are suspected criminals. They are terrorists, drug dealers, rapists, spouse abusers, bank robbers, pedophiles, etc. The list goes on and on of what people are told about targeted individuals. Targeted individuals are violent people that need to be watched 24/7 to ensure local and national security. Okay, so there's the cover story. That's what, if you haven't been targeted, if you tried to research this and talk to somebody that is involved or a perpetrator of the crime of gang stalking or compartmentalized targeting of a citizen, that's usually what they'll say. And a lot of times when people say stuff like that, and you hear a person in a respectable position say something like this, you just take it for what it's worth and go along with life and just assume that somebody that's a targeted individual is just nuts. And that's what they want you to do because this story is being covered up. Okay, so the usual suspects. Who are the usual suspects? Deep state or shadow government operating above the elected government and outside the Constitution. Unacknowledged special access programs classified above presidential or congressional knowledge are used for social engineering, power, control, and political agendas. Multiple government-run contracted agencies are being given directives to carry out standard operating procedures help facilitate measures of national security. To carry out standard operating procedures and help facilitate measures of national security. I'll add that in there. I wrote this out in one afternoon, based just on the knowledge that I have in my head, that I've experienced, that I know personally. I didn't open one book, I didn't look up one website, I didn't look at one YouTube video. This is from what I've learned over the last little over 2.5 years since I realized I was a targeted individual, and I started researching the reasons for why I went through what I went through. Cause stalking groups that want to keep control of profit, official narrative, or social control. Private prisons, big pharma, big tech, corrupt political groups, corrupt religious groups, corrupt corporations, corrupt compartments of government and intel agencies, and mafia, for example, child trafficking, drug running, illegal arms sales, and other organized crime. All right, so those are our usual suspects. People that we suspect of being responsible for the mass targeting programs, the compartmentalized programs that we have been subjected to. Okay, so to collect and connect dispositive clues. Many targeted individuals have a high IQ, are intuitive, empathetic, creative, artistic, compassionate, are empowered free thinkers, and are very vocal in general. Targeted individuals seem to fall into specific groups. Intel or enforcement that wanted to do more than follow orders. Potential leaders that would not be corrupted and would actually make decisions to help society prosper. These targets are usually identified at a young age. Defendants in custody battles against a connected person. A person that had a negative encounter with a connected person. All right, so those are our dispositive clues. Now I'm missing a few things here. This is such an all-encompassing targeting program. There are so many different reasons that people are targeted. There are so many different types of people that are targeted, but I wanted to keep this short and simple so people could just get a general idea of what's going on here. All right. Knowledge from investigative conclusion. Complaints from targeted individuals are similar or the same in the United States and all around the world. A mass delusion cannot be shared by millions of people that have different religions, political affiliations, genders, ethnicities, occupations, ages, and upbringing. Due to the exact repeating circumstances, facts, and conditions such as medical examinations, sworn affidavits, convictions of perpetrators in litigation, perpetrator confessions, and whistleblower testimony, it appears that occurrences in a targeted individual's life are carefully organized and executed events that are highly funded. I am a targeted individual, and I have personally experienced these techniques, tactics, and standard operating procedures myself. I've lived through this for years. I've just been researching and studying what was going on the last 2.5, 3 years, but I've been going through this for a very long time. I believe since I was a child. And I guess that's one part that I missed here. Many targeted individuals are, well, actually, no, I didn't miss that. It said these targets are usually identified as a young age. So some people, their family will sell them into one of these programs. It's a long-term trauma-based mind control program to synthetically insert traumatic events throughout the target's life to create nonstop trauma, which creates alters and dissociative identity disorder, otherwise known as multiple personality disorder. Then when the multiple personality disorder is programmed into the target or MK Ultra victim, they can use that person as a patsy or for multiple different types of uses. Okay, so motives for a mass targeting program. A corrupt government or cabal would greatly benefit from a classified program like this. They could use good citizens that have been programmed to live in constant fear to facilitate the targeting of other good citizens by classifying fake crimes and utilizing a slander campaign against the target. If chaos and violence in our society are synthetically created, more funding for systems of power and control can easily be implemented. Non-organic chaos and violence will lead to more arrests and incarceration in private prisons. The private prison industry grows, prison-run businesses grow, prison jobs grow, the judicial system grows, and the power structure grows. Complaints from targeted individuals to corrupt or misinformed psychologists, psychiatrists, or law enforcement will lead to false mental diagnosis, which will lead to mental hospital incarceration, unnecessary prescriptions, or psychotropic and SSRI drugs. Prescriptions of psychotropic and SSRI drugs. And the targeted person's capacity to testify in court, and the targeted person's capacity to testify in a court of law. I apologize. The print's kind of small. I'm having a tough time reading this. All right. The more people that are targeted, the more the psychological hospital system and big pharma and the private prison industry will grow, earning billions of dollars a year. Also, after mental diagnosis is labeled, children can be taken from good families and trafficked for profit. This program is the largest, most lucrative physical and psychological crime ever committed against the people of the United States and around the world. The end result is total control of all citizens, businesses, and government for a one-world totalitarian government. Now, there are many more aspects to the targeting program, but I wanted to just separate this into short sections for people that have never heard of something like this, that are trying to wrap their head around it, and what the overall goal is, and why somebody would take the time and effort to do something like this. This is the 1% of our population that is in control of probably 85 to 95% of the wealth in the world, and the rest of us fight over the remaining small percentage. And while I don't believe that there should be no such thing as a billionaire, if you work for your money, you should keep your money. But there's been a complete and total divide between the power structure and everyday, ordinary citizens in society like us. They've been working on total control for decades, hundreds of years, and we're to a turning point in our lives where we could actually do something about this. This targeted individual program is to quiet and to take out the people that would be instrumental in fighting against a totalitarian occupation of our government and implement world control. So thank you, John D'Souza. John D'Souza is called the X-Man. If you don't know who he is, look him up. His name is JohnDesouza. Like I said, he's a former FBI veteran, 25 years in service. He used to use this system to train other FBI agents, other federal agents, police officers, and investigators to come up with conclusions. That's it. I'm going to go ahead and end it on that. Everybody have a good night. Thank you for listening. Please ask questions in the comments. Comment about your targeting experience. Comment about things I might have missed in here, things that I know that I've missed in here. Get a conversation going about this. Share this with your friends and your family. to help them understand why you've gone through what you've gone through, or why people you know have gone through ridiculous stuff like this, and to keep this from happening, because the current targeted individuals aren't the only people that are going to be targeted in society, in history. This isn't the end. Once a targeted individual goes to jail, goes to a mental facility, is put on psychotropic or SSRI drugs, or dies, somebody else is going to take their place. They're going to keep doing this over and over and over until they target almost everyone. And then there's no more free will, there's no more free thought, there's no more creativity. We will only basically be zombies, robots, slaves to the state, whatever you want to call it. We cannot let this happen. Thank you for listening.